Off today, which is on page in the booklet. We're going to finish Reish Tzad Yalef today, which on the booklet is in page 38. Okay. Shaila, no, I'm sorry, it's not. It's on page 43. Okay. The shaila that we're going to talk about it's actually a pretty important question, beneath everything we've been talking about. So, we've been talking about very technical halachas in the halachas of a shomer. What's your title as a shomer? Are you a shomer chinam? Are you a shomer sachar? What category you fall into? What happens if you didn't discuss a category? You said, look, I want you to be chayiv in everything. You tell the shomer, look, I don't know, this whole thing, b'mitzia, is very complicated. I don't know, shomer chinam, shomer sachar, all these halachas. Take my thing, watch it, and I want you to be chayiv. I want you to be chayiv no matter what happens. Even if it's oinus, even if it's mamash and oinus, I want you to be chayiv no matter what happens. So, what's the halacha? So the mechaber here brings in Siman Chav and Sif Chav Zayin, but medvar mamurim she'ein shomer chinam chayiv ela b'pshia, that shomer chinam is limited to only being chayiv for pshia, is only b'stam. If you just said, hey, take my thing, become a shomer chinam. Aval im hisna she is chayiv af be'oinsim. But if you told the guy, I want you to be chayiv even if it's oines, chayiv, he's chayiv af b'dvarim, even just with words, beloy kinyan, with no kinyan. Now, the etzem idea that a shomer is chayiv, we had a machlokes before, do you need a kinyan or not? Assuming here you did a kinyan on the shomer, you made a meshicha. So the Gemara wants to know, how is it shayich that you could become chayiv even for oinsim? How are you chayiv for more than what the Torah says? What's pshat? How do you become chayiv more? There's no kinyan, l'chayra. What'd you do? You said, hey, I'm going to be maschayiv on oines. For example, let's say I'm not a shomer. I go to your thing, you don't pay me insurance premium or anything, and I say to you, hey, look, I know that those glasses are very precious to you. If anything happens to them, I'll replace them for you. I'm not chayiv to do that. I don't have to replace it because they never made a kinyan. Okay? So here also, I became your shomer. Out being your shomer, I'm only chayiv on pshia, if I was negligent. Now I'm telling you, oh, if something happens to it, I'll be chayiv. So how did I become chayiv? Where's the kinyan? But you can't make an agreement. The whole concept of chashiv mishpat is based on the fact no such thing as an agreement. No, there's such thing as an agreement, but you need a kinyan. You need a kinyan. So where's the kinyan? So this, the Gemara Bava Metzia asks this question, and I made the copy. The Gemara Bava Metzia has this question on Tzadi Daled Amud Aleph. It's the last daf in Asocher Hapoilim, and it's right before the two dots, in the middle of the page. It's basically in the middle, maybe 2/3 of the way down. It says, Tana, umasne shomer sachar liyois keshoyel. If you have a shomer sachar, he could become like a shoyel. I guess it's like a cross where it says Hadron Allah Chasor in the left column. So in the middle of the page. But madvar mamurim. Where are these words said? Zok the Gemara, Amar Shmuel b'shekanu miyadai. Shmuel says you have to make a kinyan. You can't just upgrade your chiyuv to oinus without a kinyan. Okay, but the Shulchan Aruch didn't say that. Shulchan Aruch said beloy kinyan. So Shulchan Aruch is passing like Rabbi Yochanan. What did Rabbi Yochanan say? Unbelievable Indian. Rabbi Yochanan says, "Afilu tema b'shlei kanu miyadai." But be'ahi anad the kanafik like kol the inish mehemna who gomer mishabed nafshe. Tosfos says that there's a type of kinyan. I think in English it's called consideration. As long as you give me something, then I can be machna you something back. You have to give me something. I have to have. There's got to be a consideration in consideration of what did you give me that's mechayiv me back as the shomer. What did you give me? So he says the fact that you trust me The fact that you trust me, now I'm getting a reputation as a trustworthy guy. So you gave me a shtickle hana. Since you gave me a shtickle hana, because you put me on the map as a responsible person, and you're giving me a good reputation, so I appreciate I have hana from you, so you gave me something, so in consideration of the hana that you gave me, by trusting me, I feel good about that, I'm willing to now give you back a higher level of achrayus even on oinsim. That's what the Gemara seems to say.
It looks like a chalipin or something?
It's bahia, no, it's kesef. It's like a kinyan of kesef. So there's a hana that you got. The Gemara says you can even mekadesh an isha with hana. You can mekadesh an isha with hana, right? If she accepts your gift, if you accept a gift from her, it's like you gave her hana. You gave her hana that you're willing to accept a gift from her, right? So,
what's the same way I can become when I become a shomer? I'm kind of with my kinyan. I'm chayiv in regular shmira, the regular chiyuv shmira. And I have to pay you if I'm not pshay. Pshay might be an inus, but I'm chayiv on gneva v'aveda because you're kind of the insurance policy. So why can't I be hisna mashakaz of a and be chayiv more? What do I need? What's the chiddush of the Gemara?
Okay, so here. So in order to answer David's question, we have to get into another question. Okay, but this is what the Gemara says, which, by the way, is an interesting issue. The Gemara said it's talking about a shomer sachar that upgrades to becoming a shoel. That means a shomer sachar is already a paid watchman. He's already chayiv in a lot of things, but he's upgrading to be mischayiv himself like a shoel, even in oinsim. Okay, Tosfos is not sure if that applies to a shomer chinam that wants to go up to a shomer sachar, because you didn't really trust me that much. You just gave it to me for free. Maybe paying me is a greater level of hayana. Tosfos in Baba in other words, I'm mischayiv myself like a shoyel, so it looks like I'm a shoyel, maybe only over there, not in every case. Okay, Tosfos is mesupik about that over there. But there's an interesting shaila here. There's a very interesting shaila here from the Shach. Okay, if you look at the Shach in the top of the page, the Shach it's on page 43. The Shach is in the inside column on the bottom. So he brings Ayin b'tshuvas maras hasoin shenistapik. Okay, remember, in order to understand the shaila, it's a really geshmak shaila. But in order to understand the shaila, we have to give one more piece of just remind everybody the way this works. The way shomerim works is there's always a shvuah. There's always a shvuah. You have to back up your claim with a shvuah. So a shomer comes, a shomer chinam, and he says, I swear, I make a shvuah, shaloi pashati, I was not negligent. The second he makes that swear, he's off the hook. But let's say he says, it's not negligent, and can you swear? He says, no, I don't want to swear. He has to pay. Okay? Now, what happens, a shomer sachar has to make a higher level of a shvuah. He has to say, it's not enough to say I wasn't negligent. You actually have to say, you have to swear that there was an oinus that happened, which is a higher level of a shvuah. So, not just I wasn't negligent, I even watched it pretty well, and really something crazy happened, and that's the shvuah. But if all he says is, I wasn't negligent, then that doesn't pater him. Because maybe you weren't negligent, but it's still gneva v'aveda. And gneva v'aveda you're chayav for. Right? So now, this guy is a shomer chinam. He tells the guy, listen, you can give it to me for free no matter what happens, even the craziest oinus in the world, not crazy. I'm going to be mischayiv, you don't have to pay me. It's as if you paid me, and whatever shomer sachar accepts, I accept. So unless it's mamish oinus, I'll pay you for anything. Okay? Now, something happens to the watch. Okay? So, if witnesses come and say, look, he wasn't negligent, but I don't know, he could have stopped it. He could have watched it a little bit. It wasn't negligent, but Lemais at the end, he was having it with him. He left it on the thing for a few minutes. He did normal stuff, but he wasn't super, super careful, so he wasn't negligent. But if he would be a shomer sachar, he would be chayiv, right? So if witnesses come and say, that's what happened, he has got to pay. That's the case, right? If he wouldn't, correct? Yeah. Now let's say you have a middle of the case. let's say he says, what I meant was, if you bring witnesses that it was Gneva Vaved, I'll pay. But as far as my chiyuv shvua, I'm only making a shvua that I was not negligent. So he comes and he says, where's the watch? We have no witnesses. Where's the watch? The guy says, look, I wasn't negligent. It could be that it wasn't an oinus either. It was like in between. Okay, so he says, so make a swear that it was not, that an oinus happened. And he'll be positive. He says, I never accepted upon myself to make a shavua of a shomer sachar. I just accepted upon myself to pay like a shomer sachar. But my shavua is going to be like a shomer chinam still. So he's going to make a shavua that he wasn't negligent. But he doesn't want to make the shavua that it was nenas. So we don't know about Gneva Vaveda. You hear the Shaila?
Yeah.
You hear the
Once you agree to be a shomer sachar, then you drag in the shvua of a shomer sachar.
You're not giving, when you're returning the item or not returning the item, you're not.
No, so he's tining. What I accepted upon myself was to pay for Gneva Vaveda.
I don't know, maybe there was.
But
maybe there was Gneva.
okay, for that you have to prove it.
Why do I have to prove it?
Because I told you if there's a Gneva Vaveda, I'll pay for it. But I don't know that there's a Gneva Vaveda. You can't make me pay for that.
He didn't say that.
How do you know what I said?
The chiyuv of a shomer is to swear that he doesn't.
I don't know. He said, so this is the suffix of the shach. What did the guy say? Says the
You
shach,
know why he didn't force him to be a shomer sachar?
because he didn't get money.
So,
Right.
the mice like in contract is a shomer chinam with extra.
So this is the chakira over here. What's the pshat? And that's the answer to your question. What's the pshat in this guy? Is the pshat that he became a shomer sachar for free? Or is the pshat he's a shomer chinam really, just with extra responsibilities to pay? But he's not changing his chiyuv shvua. So look at the shach here. He says, "Shenistapik be'im hisna shomer chinam lio ischayev kashomer sachar v'toyin shenenas v'oimer shaloi nischayev elo l'shalim k'shia edim avaloi nischayev al shvua shomer sachar she al taina safik elo roitz to lift her atzma b'shvua shomer chinam shaloi pasha ein shom shenistapik b'ashas." So shach brings a suffix on this, which is a suffix in the whole lumdus. So if someone comes out, if you give someone, give someone an item, and he says, the guy says, I am watching it for free, but I'll accept the achrayas of a shomer sachar. So now, which parsha in the Torah is he being ruled by? Is he saying, I'm in the parsha of shomer sachar, but I'm not getting paid? But then he has to make a shvuah and everything. Or is he saying, I'm really a shomer chinam? I'm adding on an extra achrayas, an extra chiv.
There's two different shvuas that are shemechinam and shemesachar. It's not that the chiv shmi the shvua.
It is. It's two separate parashas.
Yeah, I know, but the reason why the two separate parashas is the two separate halachas for each shomer. But the shvua shabai is not that a shomer has to be.
It's a much harder shvua, right? Because a shvua.
Yeah, the only reason why the shemechinam isn't making that shvua is because if it's taka true, then he's potter. So I don't have to say. And also, aliens came down and took it from because I'm potter in that case. So there's no reason to make that shvua, but each person has to swear to the level that I'm potter. I have to swear that I'm at the level that I am potter. If I have the extra responsibilities.
No, so I think that we learned from Reb Chaim that the pshat in the shvua is it's a certain level that I was makabel upon myself to give you a shvua, to verify my claim with a shvua. That's part of my Kabbalah. I was makabel to verify my claim with a shvua. It's a very high level of verification that's required. Normally, Motzi Mechavel Varaya maybe. Why should I have to make a shvua? You have a taina shema. You don't have a taina boy. Why? I don't have to. It's the only shvua in the Torah that I have to respond to a taina shema. Why? It's a chiddush. So this is the machlekes. It's a shaila in the lumdus. I give you something. Everything is a lumdus. Everything, nothing's so simple.
It sounds like he has the extra chiyuv, whether he swears or not.
What do you mean?
It sounds like to me like he took upon himself an extra chiyuv, a chiyuv like a shomer sachar, which is chayim b'nei b'aveda, and it sounds like he can't even get out of it with a shvur.
No, if you make a shvur that it was Gneva Vavedi, it'll be potter.
He's still a shomer chinam.
Okay, so that's the machlokes. Is the pshat is a shomer chinam with extra responsibilities, or did he become a new category of a shomer sachar, a paid watchman, and then even without being paid? That's the shaila. So that's the answer to your question. Why do you need a kinyan? Because if you're really under shomer chinam, you have to accept upon yourself new achrayas, and there's nothing making you a shomer sachar. So you need a whole new thing. Now, there's a I don't have it here, but there's a geshmaka k'tzois hachoishen. In he brings down this shaila, and And he actually says what the Olam is saying. He says what the Olam is saying, which is that it really depends what the guy said. It really depends what the guy said. Okay? He says, if he says, I am a Shomer Sachar, then he's a Shomer Sachar. If he said, I'm only accepting upon myself the Chi of Gneva Vaveda, so then he just added on extra Achrayas. Okay? Now, that's basically what he says. Now, the Ktsoy says another Shaila. Remember we talked about, where's the consideration over here? Where's the Kinyan? So we said the consideration is with this, that you gave me something and you trusted me, so I gave you back a higher level of responsibility, right? So the Ktsoy wants to know, does this work if we did it in the middle of the Shmira? That means I accepted upon myself to be a shomer on Sunday. On Wednesday, you come over to me and say, by the way, I know you accepted upon yourself to be a shomer chinam, but do you mind upgrading your achrayas to even a higher level? She said, well, okay, I'll do that. Why should I do that? Well, you see, I trust you and everything, and all that. So does that work? So the Ktsoy says that the moment of the hana is only a kayim for the second that he gave it to you. So you have to make the arrangement when you're getting the hana. That's how this consideration works. It works that when you're giving it to me, then I give you back something. But if I got it already, then it's too late. Unless you do a new kinyan. But the kinyan of the hana is only at the time. Covet doesn't last that long, right? Covered, you have it for a few seconds, you feel good. So at the moment that he feels good because of the covered, so then you have to give him, then you have to make up the kinyan. But if he comes back a week later and says, oh, by the way, remember I made you feel good? So now, can you now go be mechayiv yourself in more stuff? No, it doesn't work. Right. It's at the time. Right? So, Rabbi Shapiro has a story with his father, that his father, on Purim, gave a gift to Rabbi Aaron Kotler, like a sefer. So Rabbi Aaron Kotler gave him back Mishloach Manos. So he says, so he told Rabbi Aaron, I just learned a very big chiddush. So what's the chiddush? He said, chiddush is, apparently you can't be Mekayim, apparently you can't be Mekayim Mishloach Manos with Hana. What do you mean? Well, I got to know that you accepted my sefer, and by you accepting, I got hana, and still you gave me mishloach manos. So apparently, Rishiva holds that you can't be mekayim mishloach manos with hana, unless Rishiva is not getting any hana from my sefer. So then I don't know. But that, I think there's like a mice like that. But anyway.
Why would you rely on the Rishiva getting hana from the sefer?
Well, okay, then I'm not getting another year mekabel it because. Because it's not or something like maybe you slug up the chiddush or something like that. I don't remember what he said. But or maybe it's not shnei minim. Maybe that's what he said. Or maybe Hana is only one min, right? Maybe that's what he said. Okay, so this is the first halacha when you're upgrading your shmira. When you're upgrading your shmira, we have a machloikis here between the suffix of the shach, which the Ktsois says means depends what you did. There's two ways to look at it. One way to look at it is you're just accepting more achrayas. The other way to look at it is you're actually becoming a whole new category of a shomer. Okay? Now, what happens when you're downgrading? What happens when you're downgrading? You tell someone, I'm a shomer sachar, you're paying me. You're paying me, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not making any shavua for you. I don't want to make any shavua. I don't want to make anything. You're going to have to take my word for it. But I'll pay for even a higher level. I'll pay for even Gneva V'Aveda. But I don't want to make a shavua. You downgrade your achrayas. How does that work?
You can always pay without a shavua.
What?
You can always pay without a shavua.
No, you want to exempt yourself without a shavua.
If someone doesn't want to make a shvua, you can always pay. No?
Yeah, but
Here I want to exempt myself without a shvua. Means I want to take less achrayas than what the Torah is putting on me. So does that work or not? So it's another interesting Gemara which I gave out.
Taking back the money?
What?
He's not going to take the money?
No, he is. He's a Shomer Sachar, and he's downgrading to pater himself from the Shvuah. Till now we spoke in the Shulchan Aruch, what if you're upgrading? Now we want to know what if you're downgrading. So it's a very interesting Gemara here.
When did he downgrade? When he accepted the...
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's still getting, he said, I want to pay for it, but only be responsible. I want to get paid, but only be responsible as a Shomer.
Now I'm going to be responsible like a Shomer Sachar because if, let's say, Eidim come that it was Geneva Vaveda, I'll pay. I'm going to pay like a Shomer Sachar. I just don't want to make the Shvuah of a Shomer Sachar. It's so bad.
Why can't they do that?
Okay, because the Gemara asks a kasha. Look at the Mishnah. It's a Mishnah Tzadi Daled of a Soichas HaPoelim. So the Gemara says, Masna Shomer Chinam liyos kipoter mishvua v'hashoya liyos poter milashalim nesisocha liyos patur mishvua. You could do that. Oh, like I said, yeah, it seems simple to me. So the Gemara says it's not simple. Is this subject to the sugya of Masna Mashakosov Batoira? To know Ikayim. There's a halacha there's a halacha in Shas all over. The Gemara talks about it. You're allowed to make a Tanai on something which is written in the Torah. That means you're allowed to make a Tanai on whatever you want. I could sell you something on any sort of condition I want. I could sell you something based on it's going to rain tomorrow. I could sell you something if this team wins. We can make all sorts of conditions. But can we go into something which is guided by the Torah and then make up our own conditions? Is a person allowed, the Gemara says, even by Davar Shebamamon, even on something which is monetary. The Gemara says, are you allowed to get married with the condition that you're not going to support the wife? I'm not going to support you, but we're getting married. Well, the Torah defines the relationship of marriage that the husband has to give his wife certain things. So, are you using the Torah's Kedushin or you're not using the Torah's Kedushin? If you're using the Torah's version of Kedushin, Kedushin includes in it the responsibilities, financial responsibilities of the husband to the wife. And if you're not using the Torah's Kedushin, then you're not married. You can't decide, you can't redefine the Torah's Kedushin. Same thing with a loan. The Gemara wants to know, you're allowed to make a loan and say, but on condition that Shemitah does not annul the loan. Well, the Torah already defines what a loan is, and the Torah says a loan is annulled by Shemitah. You can't go and use the Torah's parsha of loan and then say your own conditions. Okay? So the Gemara says over here, Rabbi Yehuda holds you could do that, but Rabbi Meir holds you can't. So according to Rabbi Meir, how would it work if you're becoming a Shomer and then you say, but I don't want to make a Shvuah? Well, the Torah already defined that relationship. Okay, that's the Gemara's kasha. So if you look at the last line right before we started the previous Gemara, the Gemara goes back and forth. The Gemara says these words, and there's a major machlokes between Rashi and the Ramban, which is a very fascinating machlokes. It says v'shayni hacha demiikara loishibed nafshe. Over here, even Rameir agrees because you simply were not mekabel on yourself the responsibility of the Shvuah or whatever it is. So, what does that mean you weren't makabel on yourself? So Rashi says, as you look at the Rashi, Afilu Tema, it's the second Rashi in the Gemara. Rashi says like this: Reisha diktani masa shemerchinam lihipoter mishvuah Rameir. V'hai lav masa mashakaso b'teirahu ela she'amar lo if sheliya shomer shalcha ela bekach v'shomer lo noches hashmir ad moshelcha behema. So he says you could basically become a shomer, and your shmira is chal when you do the mashicha, and I'm being moshech with this in mind. So the whole kinyan is being defined by our agreement. Rashi says you could do that. So according to Rashi, just like you could upgrade, you could downgrade, and you could say, I'm a shomer, but I'm not a shomer with a shvuah. The Ramban in the Chidushim in Baba Metzia argues on this Rashi, and the Ramban says you can't do that. The Parsha of Shomer says what Parsha of Shomer is. But what the Gemara means is that what the guy is saying is, I'm not a Shomer. I'm not the Deoraisa of Shomer. Whatever Shomer is, I'm not doing that. Rather, I'm just watching your thing with no Shomer. Don't put me into any Parsha. And I accept it upon myself that if something happens, I'll pay you. What?
Then for sure you would need a kinyan.
First of all, you would for sure need a kinyan. And second of all, does that really work? It's a grama, but Nezikin, you can make a funny tonight. But the Ramban is saying here, Pirsh loy nasa shomer sachar shaloi. Ella hifkid etzloi v'loy kibel ze alav liyoi shomer. Ki ilo amar hanach lefanai v'loy amar v'loy al keinu ve'eni shomer shalcha. Okay. So I think this is a very nice way to finish up this subject, because what comes out according to the Ramban is that, I think, if I'm reading it right, is that there's such an idea that you could say, you know what, let's just make up something. Because after learning this for however many weeks we've been doing this, the parsha of Shomer is very complicated. That much I think we all figured out. So if I'm going to go give you something, all I'm doing is I said something very simple. Hey, I'm going away for a week on vacation. Do you mind watching my jewelry? All of a sudden, the Siman Shulchan Aruch, and you're a Shomer, and what if I closed it at night, and I made a kinyan, I didn't make a kinyan, and Shavuot, it's very complicated. Maybe the guy says, I don't want any of that. I don't want anything to do with the parsha of Shomer, because it's very complicated. Do me a favor, just watch this. And don't be negligent, and agree to me that if you're negligent, you'll pay. Can you do that? I mean, you don't want the guy to say, I'm not going to pay you. So if you explicitly say, I'm not going to be a shomer, I'm not doing anything of that, but let's just make up an agreement here. So does that work? So it would seem to me it's a machlokes between Rashi and the Ramban.
He wants to be a shomer chino, essentially. He wants to be a different.
He wants, it's a Shomer, but he doesn't want the dinim of Shomer, because he doesn't want to have to make a shvuah, he doesn't want to have the chiyuv of shlichus yad, he doesn't want to have all these complications.
Where do you draw a line? Distinction without difference. You say, I want to lend you money. I don't want to deal with the whole parsha, ma'ava life, ribbis, lending you money this way, that way. We're not. I mean, then everything's going against, within the Torah. The Torah tells you, maybe a loan, this is the parameters. You start doing this, then again, it goes against the...
No, but a loan is a loan. It is. It's not. It's not something else.
Many different ways. It's not really a loan. It's a gift for now. It's not with ribbons.
Okay, so if you do that, you do it. But over here, this is the machlokes. Rashi says, I use the word shomer. You're in the parsha. That's it. And the Ramban seems to be saying,
The says, I'm not Makabel Shmira. He used the word shomer, and I was in the parsha.
Well, I'm not Makabel Shmira.
I'm not Makabel Shmira. You want to give it to me? I'll take it. I'll hold it for you when you're gone. But I'm not Makabel Shmira.
Oh, that's something else.
But he used the word shomer.
No, but I'm not Makabel
He's
Shmira.
not being Makabel Shmira.
No. But the Ramban, that's not what Rashi said. Rashi says, I'm going to watch it for you and everything. I'm going to be your shomer. I'm going to watch it for you, but I don't want this halacha of the parsha.
That's the same thing as I'm not Makabel Shmira.
No. I'm Makabel the shmira. I'm going to pay you. No, but I want you to accept a price for it. I just don't want you to have these random halachas, random, whatever. These specific halachas.
What's the difference other than a person watching your stuff who's not a shomer chinam? What's the difference in halacha?
Shavua.
Okay, so you're saying if I'm posher.
I don't want to make a shvuah if I'm posher. I don't want to make a shvuah that it's not b'rishusi. I don't want to have to. Let's say I'm sholech yad. We're going to learn that yet. Let's say I use it in the middle. I become a chai. There's halachas to a shomer how it works. I don't want the whole parsha. I just want to do you a favor, and I agree that if I mess up, I'll pay you.
So he's not accepting shmira.
But he is because he says I'm going to pay you if I'm posher.
Okay, I'm allowed to pay you if I'm posher.
You are?
On my own stuff.
You are?
I could say that if I eat tuna fish tomorrow, I'm going to pay you.
You could? No, you can't.
Why not?
It's not chal, it's kinyan dvarim. You need to make a kinyan on it, it's a little complicated. You have to make a kinyan. We're saying that the part, really, if I'm posheya on your stuff, I'm potter, right? We said the first share, if I go into your backyard and I open the backyard and your animals leave, I'm potter. But if I'm a shomer all of a sudden and I open the fence, I'm chayiv. It's the same thing, right? Because it's really...
You can't accept the... You can't say that I'm going to pay you if I'm posher. You're not allowed to pay.
He's not chayiv to pay. He's not chayiv to pay.
I'm going to give you a present. The amount of the...
Okay, no. You could say whatever you want,
but
but
that's what it is.
No, I know, but it's very nice. But once you do it and you're pesheya, and then I want the money, all of a sudden you're going to change your mind. It's very nice. You felt very generous at the time before the whole story happened. But after the story happens, you're not so feeling so generous anymore. Is it mechayiv the person? That's the point. Are you chayiv to pay?
Why is it any different than a person say, I'm going to give you $200 next week?
It's not. But if you say, I'm going to give you $200 next week, and I come next week and say, I have the $200, you can say, I don't want to give it to you. Because you need a kinyan. So you're saying, let's say you made a kinyan. So you made a kinyan. No, but that only works if you're a shomer on it, in the parsha of Shemira.
Why? You gave me your yarmulke before Pesach. I wasn't a shomer on your yarmulke, and it wasn't mine. I can make a kinyan on it.
If you want to, if you made a kinyan, you make kinyan. But let's say you didn't make a specific kinyan. You didn't make any kinyan because, as a matter of fact, it was in my house still. So you didn't make a mashicha, you didn't make anything.
Stop kash on any shomer. You didn't make a kinyan.
So it's machlokes, we said. If you accept on yourself, but that's the point. The point is there such a thing that or do you say? No, I'm saying you decided, like Rav Chaim is saying, you decided to do everything. It looks like a shomer, it smells like a shomer, it feels like a shomer, but no, it's not a shomer. No, I'm in different parasha. No, that the Torah already defined that relationship as a relationship of shemira. So it would seem to me like this is a machlokes. Now the Shulchan Aruch doesn't discuss it. It discusses the other way if you upgrade. It doesn't discuss if you downgrade. One thing I do not have clarity on is nowadays we don't make shvuas, right? And it seems like a shvua plays a very integral role in this whole shomer. So I'm not sure exactly how that you know.
Mine is actually that every time I make a shomer, it's
automatically.
Right.
I mean,
but it's also this that since you can't make a shomer, since you can't make a shvua,
it works.
Yeah,
Right.
It doesn't carry a stigma like it used to. There's no stigma to it. Now it's a big deal. A few words. There's no stigma to it. There used to be a very strong stigma. They don't.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, but they didn't don't respond.
There's no shvua anymore.
But they do not make shvuas. So I'm saying, if the Beis Din today doesn't make shvuas, how does the whole parsha of Shomer work?
Today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Today everything goes with contracts.
Not everything goes with contracts. Between you and your neighbor, it didn't go with a contract. Right? So the basic shomer doesn't go with the contract. So upon him, this is this is the last sif. I mean, the last sif talks about a specific halacha. Okay, we'll just speak out the last halacha in the last sif in Chav Ches. There's one more sif, and then we're finished with this section of shomer. The last sif talks about there's a gzeres hakosov. See, this is an example of halacha that quote unquote doesn't make sense, but like everything else, there's a halacha to it. The halacha is if the owner of the item is together with the shomer at the beginning of the shmira, then the shomer is exempt from any responsibilities with the item. It's called bail of imo. What? Like by shol. So that means if I take I say, hey, can you watch my jewelry? Sure. You come to my house, take the jewelry, you're bishkamin. But let's say you say, sure, I'll take your jewelry, just bring it over. So I bring it over, and then as I'm dropping it off, the guy says, by the way, can you just take out, the person who's watching it says to the owner of the jewelry, can you take out my garbage on your way out? So since at that moment that the shmir is being chal, the owner is working for the shomer, that negates the shmira. Shmira is only when the two different independent places or people. Once there's a relationship that the owner is working for the shomer, shmira is off. It's exercise kosov. But so what it is, right? There was actually a whole case. The case was The case was in a Beis Din that Zalman, you know the case in New York. There's a case in Flatbush that Hatzalah came into an apartment, and they and as they were working on the page, something broke. They broke something on the way in or on the way out or something like that. So after the whole thing was done, the patient was teveya that, you took this thing, you're a shomer. They weren't mazikit. They were like they were pasheya on something. I don't remember the whole case. I think he borrowed maybe one of the tools of the guy, and then he was pasheya on it. did he have to pay? So the Hatzola Tainad, that since at the time that we borrowed it, he was working on the patient, so it's Bail of Imoy, and he's potter from paying. I don't know, it's an interesting scenario. But what?
First time to borrow power tools.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I have a drill? Like, what do you need that for?
Yeah. So yeah. Our Chaim HaKadosh says, what's pshat in that din? So he says we learn from this din a very important musar. He says that we are all shoymrim on our neshama. We're all shoymrim on our neshama, and Hashem gives us a neshama, and we have to give it back the way we received it. And if we're posheya, we're gonna have to pay for that. And if we don't treat our neshama properly, and we give it back at the end, and it's not in the condition. But if you keep a Kadosh Baruch Hu with you at all times, and you live with Hashem, then it's Bail of Imayin, and you're potter from all the damage that you do to the neshama.
Yes, I'm getting at that too with God.
What a get out of jail free card that is.
Well,
See how that works when you get upstairs.
That's how after the fact, or that's how only.
right, it only works. Right, according to this strict halacha, it only would work if it was at the beginning of the shmirah. What?
Only the moment you got your neshama.
Yeah, but maybe you get the neshama every day for new. So every day you have the opportunity to re-accept your relationship with the Kadosh Baruch
Wake
Hu.
up and do an avera because it's Baal Avima.
You have to first think that Hashem is with me. If Hashem is really with me, if Shivisa Hashem Lenegdi Summit is working, you're probably not going to end up doing the Avera. So I'll risk the, one for the other. I guess that's what he's saying. Anyway, okay, Shkoyach Rabbi Yisai. We'll see where we go from here.